Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111. My beautiful friends, we're asking today, what does your person want you to know? We're going to get messages from your person, see what they're saying. This could be anything that they perhaps don't feel they're able to say to your face. Perhaps you're not in communication. Just to give you some insight into how they're feeling and what they really need you to know to help you both move forward with this situation. But before I begin, I just want to say thank you because so many gifts. So the Santa Muerte Tarot, this is in the middle pile that we're using today. This was a beautiful gift from Devon. And he says, enjoy your gift. Thank you. You have brought so much courage, support and hope to a stumbling soul on a difficult and uncertain journey. For my higher self, thank you. Thank you, Devin. You're such a sweet treat. And I absolutely love these cards. I've wanted them for ages. Okay. We also have the Louisa Hay Life Loves You cards. And this is a gift from Suki Lee. So thank you so much, Suki. These are absolutely beautiful. We have got the Find Your Happy cards, another gift from Stephen Lee. Says, enjoy your gift. Thank you for your amazing channel and your wonderful group. So thank you so much, Stephen. And then I have the Occult Tarot. Thank you for your pick a card readings. Hope you like it. These was from Ralph. So thank you so much, Ralph. You guys are amazing. Honestly, I appreciate this so much. You really are so good to me. And I do keep all the little notes. And sometimes I actually just spend some time looking through them all because I've never ever done any kind of work before where I've felt so valued and so appreciated, and it really is very uplifting. So thank you so very much. Right, if any of you would like to donate a deck, you can find a link to my Amazon wish list down below. You can also donate via PayPal. It's never expected. You're certainly not obligated to, but it's a very special treat and I appreciate it very much. And you can watch an advert. That really helps me. For 1 minute of your time, I get a small amount of revenue every time you watch one of those ads. So thank you very much for those of you that take the time to do that. I appreciate you all tuning in. It's so lovely to share this journey with you. We're all on the same path, me included. And I know I seem like I've really got my shit together and that I know what I'm doing, but honestly, the wisdom comes through me, not from me. And believe me, I watch my own readings as well, so that I can try and digest the messages too. Okay, so let's begin. I've got 3 piles for you. The first one, I beg your pardon, is the Santa Muerte Tarot. I thought it was this one, but this is the one that Devin bought me, and we've got green opal with this deck. The middle one is the Titanic Tarot. This is a new independently created deck. I'm very excited to use it, and this is with Amazonite. And then we have the Vagabond Wild Tarot with Appetite. So I'm going to move piles 2 and 3 out of the way, and let's get this party started. Okay, pile 1, the Santa Muerte Tarot. This is a beautiful deck. I'm going to give it a super good shuffle. And just to give you a heads up that I will be announcing new classes and webinars tomorrow. So I will announce them to my subscriber list and on my Facebook group first. So if you're already a member of my Facebook group, you've subscribed to my website, you will get a heads up. And then I'll wait a few hours and then I will announce it on my YouTube community page. There are some new classes that I haven't done before, and I'm very excited to launch a new range of webinars. Most of them will be starting in August. So if you would like to learn with me, keep your eyes peeled and your ears to the ground. New classes are coming your way. Right, so just going to give these a really good shuffle, as it is a new deck. There will be an extended reading for you today as well. So what does your person want you to know, pile 1? What are their messages? Now, when I say what does your person want you to know, these are messages that are being channeled from their higher self. These are general readings, so they're not going to resonate for everyone. Take what works, leave what doesn't. Don't forget to leave a note in the comments of which pile you chose, because these are timeless readings. And, you know, there may be another pile that suits you later. So if you've made a note in the comments, you'll already know which one you've watched. Okay, let's do this. What does your person want you to know, pile 1? We have got the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Knight of Cups in reverse. What number's that? There's no number on it. It just says Pentacles. Oh, the 4. Sorry, it's at the side. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. The 8 of Wands. The Moon. These are such beautiful cards. The Magician in reverse. The Chariot in reverse. Justice in reverse. Temperance. And the 6 of Cups in reverse. So lots of blocked energies here. You did see I shuffled the cards very well. When they're in reverse, it's just a blocked energy. Right, so I'm going to use the Divine Animals Oracle as well to get a couple of cards from here. And we have got Tarantula and the Fruit Bat stroke Flying Fox. And I'm going to use these cards, which are just messages that I've written myself on some blanks. Well, that one wanted to come out. I never meant to hurt you. I was lost and confused and made bad decisions. Please forgive me. I'm still deeply in ego. My soul loves you, but my mind isn't there yet. I do not have the resources to be the person you deserve. Let's get some more. There is too much going on in my life right now. My ego doesn't recognize you. Our lives are so different. I don't know how things can work between us. Your words have changed the way I see love and life. I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. I need more time to learn. Okay. So, the Page of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Magician in reverse. This person is very disempowered right now. They know that they've done wrong by you, and they know that they need to reach out and apologize, but they're really overcome by shame, by embarrassment. There's feelings of worthlessness here as well. It really stands out that this person has said twice, I'm still deeply in ego. My soul loves you, but my mind isn't there yet, and my ego doesn't recognize you. And it does feel like this person is at the beginning stages of a journey of self-realization, and you know, their ego currently speaks much, much louder than their heart. So even though, you know, there are deep feelings in their heart space and their soul, and deep down this person holds a lot of love for you, you know, their ego isn't able to allow those feelings to come to the surface and to be recognized or realized. So this person probably doesn't behave in a very caring or affectionate way, and this is what's made it, I guess, easy for them to disrespect you and to not value you. And certainly it appears that they've hurt you a great deal, but they really are not in a good place. I feel like this person is very confused about what relationships mean. They're very confused about what love means. They're very confused about who they are, and they don't see that they have anything to offer you. We've got the Knight of Cups in reverse here, and we've got the Chariot in reverse here. So again, so many blocked energies. It just feels like this person has moments of clarity where they would like to offer you so much, and to be this, you know, this knight in shining armor kind of energy. They do kind of have these fantasies which they indulge in momentarily, but then their lack of self-worth and their own limiting beliefs about who they are and what they deserve gets in the way of actually taking any action towards you. With the Four of Pentacles clarified by Justice in reverse as well, it does feel like there's some unresolved karma here that this person can't let go of. And in this card, you know, we see this scene where the skeleton is reaching down and dragging someone from this kind of village scene. And we see the bank, we see gifts. So it feels like this person is very attached to their material world. They're probably not as accomplished as they would like to be. And they can't let go of this idea that, you know, someone who doesn't have the stability and financial success that you perhaps have isn't deserving or cannot have a relationship with someone like you. But for sure there is unresolved karma here also. And it does say our lives are so different. I don't know how things can work between us. So I really feel like this person perhaps has issues with debt. They may have lost their job. They may, you know, be living at home with parents instead of standing on their own 2 feet. There's just a feeling here of massive instability and of really important lessons that still need to be learned and resolved and brought back into balance. The Eight of Wands clarified that by Temperance, you know, this person does want to communicate with you. I do feel like the energies that are at play at the moment are having a dramatic impact on how this person perceives the whole connection. I'm hearing like just clarity, information, recognition rushing in. And with the Temperance card, this is a really beautiful balanced energy. You know, they do have moments of just feeling like everything slots into place and they understand. But what I'm hearing is that this just, they're not able to actually fully grasp this recognition and these changes. It kind of shoots past them and it's moving at such a pace they can't hold on to that clarity. It does say here as well, your words have changed the way I see love and life. They've never heard anyone describe emotions, relationships, life in the way that you have. You really have changed their perspective of how people can interact in a loving and healthy relationship. But it does say here that they don't know what a healthy relationship looks like and they need more time to learn and to figure out how they actually step in to this wisdom and this idea that you have about how a relationship could and should be. The moon here, I mean, this is upright, but for the moon for me, as it turned out, and this one is about uncertainty. It's about illusion. There's a lot of self-reflection going on and they're not really sure of who they are. And as I said, they are getting these intuitive hits, but they're really not sure what it means to them. I do believe as well that with the Six of Cups in reverse, there may have been some conversations about soul connections, soulmate type interactions or relationships, or a past life connection. And this person finds this really difficult to comprehend. It challenges all of their previous beliefs. And I'm hearing this person's quite pragmatic and they really don't know what's real and what isn't in this connection. It does say here our lives are so different. I don't know how things can work between us. And I do feel like you do have very opposing viewpoints. I'm hearing also that at times you've expressed criticism or a dislike of some of their beliefs. And this has triggered them quite hard. It's made them feel uneducated. It's made them feel a bit ignorant. So there is a need here to just be more mindful of them being at an earlier stage in this journey and of not really understanding, you know, where you're coming from. But it does feel like they've taken some of your words very, very personally. I'm hearing this isn't entirely your fault. It's not necessarily that you haven't always been diplomatic. I do feel it's the case that it's just triggered their inferiority complex. And, you know, with the tarantula here, which is described as connection, and you can see them tangled up in this web, I do feel like this person really struggles to disengage from this connection. So you've probably really felt very hot and cold energies. You know, 1 minute they're rushing forward, the next minute they're stepping away. And in reality, this is because their ego is still very much resisting this connection. It's still very much resisting you. And yet despite that, they can't get you out of their mind. You know, they can run, but they can't hide. So I'm hearing that this person, you know, is bombarded by dreams, synchronicities, signs, thoughts of you, but with their ego being very much in the way, all of that stuff's not yet connecting with their heart space. And in some ways it does irritate them because they are in deep resistance and they do want to run. They want to avoid this right now. Their ego is screaming for them to get away from this situation because the intimacy is so intense and so deep that it actually terrifies them. It triggers all of their self-worth issues. And again, like this card here, we have that I do not have the resources to be the person that you deserve. You know, this person's very much put you on a pedestal. They really do see you as someone of massive value, and they just don't see how they can live up to that. I'm hearing that they do really appreciate your kindness, and despite them having been in this dark place, and despite them having hurt you and pushed you away many times, you always receive them with kindness. And even though this is probably the right thing to do, and it shows that you are rising above your judgments and, you know, your own shadow aspects, it also triggers them because they don't know how they can ever repay you. They don't know how they can match that energy of unconditional love. And it makes them feel very guilty at times, like they don't deserve it. I feel like when they're in their weakest moments and they really need that love and support, they do always surrender to the connection and surrender to you. I'm hearing this person say, you're my best friend and no one understands me like you. I don't trust anyone in the way that I trust you. But they have hurt you. You know, it says here, I never meant to hurt you. I was lost and confused and made bad decisions. Please forgive me. So, you know, this person, they're not trying to hurt you. It just feels like they don't know who they are yet. They don't know what they want. You know, their heart and mind are at war, and their ego is really shouting very, very loudly at this stage, and it's blocking all of that emotional depth that resides in their heart space. So this person really doesn't see you clearly at the moment. You know, even though they can appreciate all of your better qualities, they don't yet understand why they feel so compelled to run away. And they don't yet understand, you know, why they end up saying and doing the things they do, which clearly hurt you. So it really isn't intentional. And I'm hearing as well that this person is quite damaged. You know, they've had a life that's been beset by trauma and struggle and grief. And even though that's not an excuse for their behaviours, it does go some way to explaining the dysfunction that they perpetuate, because that's how they've been programmed and conditioned. They don't know any different. And even though you've gone to great lengths to show them a different way, you know, they do need more time to learn, because this isn't in... It takes time to rewire our brains, to change our programming, to recondition ourselves, to react and respond in new ways. Awareness and education is just the first step in that happening. But in reality, you know, we have to be diligent in our attempts to respond and react differently in relationships. And they've not had enough time yet to really shift into a much more evolved and mature way of being when it comes to love and life. But your words really have had an impact. You know, this has opened up a new way of being to them. It's like you've planted a seed, but now you have to be patient and allow that seed to grow. You know, it's not bearing any fruit yet because it just needs time. It really does need a bit of time. So I want to ask as well what this person's intentions towards you are. What do they need you to know about how they would like to proceed with this connection? So we've got the Hermit in reverse. We've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. We've got Strength. And we've got the Knight of Swords. These are very conflicting messages. with the Hermit in reverse, it does feel like this person is saying, you know, I do need a bit more time for self-reflection. There's a block for me as far as that's concerned at the moment, because I still don't know how to do that. My mind gets jumbled up. I get confused. I try and focus my attention on figuring this out, but it's really difficult for me to actually be real and honest with myself, because there's so much shadow there that it burns me to look at it. It's a painful process, and I don't yet have all the courage and confidence I need to fully go within and have that inner reflection, that self-reflection, to find my inner light. With the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, this person just really doesn't know how to take the next step. And we had the Page of Pentacles in reverse as well, which was, you know, not knowing what to say, and they don't know how to act either. They want to make the situation right, but they just simply do not know how. With Strength, you know, I do feel this is a really positive and beneficial symbol to come up for their intentions. For me, this is someone that's building upon who they are and really wants to develop the strength, the brevity and the courage to come forward. And we do see the Knight of Swords here. Now, the Knight of Swords is a very fast moving energy. It's very action oriented. It does feel like this person's going to come in, but they are warning you that they are still disconnected from their heart space, and that their communication or their interactions with you may appear cold. It may not be as expressive or emotive as you would like. But this person, it's really interesting. In this card, we see that the figure is actually swallowing the sword. And I do believe, you know, that they're beginning to understand the truth of this connection. They're swallowing that truth whole. And they do want to communicate with you about that. Again, it feels like you've discussed soul connections or past lives with them, and I believe this is something that they want to discuss, but they're still very much up in their head about it. You know, they're trying to think about it logically, pragmatically. They're not necessarily integrating it at a soul or heart level. So let's get a few more of these message cards, and then some charms and guidance cards as well. So yeah, it feels like this person is just not evolved enough yet to approach this relationship from, you know, a place of maturity or in the way that you would like them to. And I'm hearing you've waited a long time, and that, you know, they have unwittingly been very callous and very cruel in their treatment of you, which isn't an easy thing to navigate. I don't know how to love you the way you deserve to be loved. I still don't know what I want. I care, but I'm confused. I wish you could understand how difficult my life is right now. How can you truly accept me if you cannot love and accept yourself? So, yeah, they really don't know how to love yet. Whilst their perception of what love is beginning to change, as we described before, this is a lesson that they've not yet fully integrated or been able to actually introduce into their life behaviours and actions. And they really don't know what they want. They don't know how to make this better. Again, this is their ego speaking very much louder than their heart, because, you know, their ego doesn't believe that they deserve you and doesn't believe that they deserve love. And that thought really keeps them very stuck. And that ego voice is much louder than the voice of their heart. I wish you could understand how difficult my life is right now. So it really does feel like this person feels like you don't necessarily recognize their own personal struggles or perspective or point of view, and you're being asked to really try and step into their shoes and understand how they were raised, how they've, you know, interacted in relationships before, to understand that the experiences they've had have shaped who they are now. And even though they can see that who they are now isn't necessarily conducive to a healthy relationship, they are beginning to become aware of their own dysfunction. They just need time to work on that. It says as well, how can you truly love and accept me if you cannot love and accept yourself? So I feel like you've worked really hard to explain to this person how you've been working towards unconditional love for self, how you've been working on your own healing. But this person sees through you just like you see through them. They recognize that you still have insecurities and fears. They recognize that there are still things about yourself that you do not accept. And I feel like because you have talked to them about, loving someone unconditionally, they're not always trusting that. They're not always trusting in your love for them because they see that you're not being entirely honest about how you feel about yourself. They do recognize that you're not as healed and accepting of self as you often may present, and perhaps you're not aware of that. So, with this coming up over the Knight of Swords and him swallowing this sword, I do feel that this person can teach you a lot about yourself as well by sharing their perception of you and by recognizing how some of the things you share and the beliefs and values that you hold about love and life, you're actually at the same stage as them, in that you're now aware of a better way of being and of treating self, but you too are still struggling to fully integrate those new beliefs and values into your own way of being. So in many respects, there is definitely a lot of mirroring going on here as well. So let's get some guidance cards from Spirit before we take this over to the extended. And I'm going to get some charms for you as well. In the extended, we're going to take a deeper look and get some, deeper messages from this person about how you can both proceed for the highest good of the connection. But let's see what the guidance is for you now. Your higher mission involves helping others to learn by your mistakes and pain. You are not being honest with yourself, so that's already come up. The universe will continue to show you the same lessons until you learn. Okay, so we have the clock, the mountains, the writer, FU, the white moth, and the shell. So your higher mission involves helping others to learn by your mistakes and pain. And I feel like this is actually a really powerful and supportive message because it reminds you that your suffering is never in vain, and that by having navigated this journey and all of those bumps in the road, you are actually going to be more empowered to fulfill this higher mission, to be at service to others and to help them move more gracefully along their own path. I'm hearing that you have a very natural way of communicating your experience. You're a very open person. So, this is a gift because that level of expressiveness and openness really allows you to share from a very heartfelt, honest place with others. And through that sharing, you're going to empower others, to help themselves in the way that you've helped yourself. So it does feel like in some respects your journey might be a little bit more tricky than others, but that was how it was always intended. Now, we have the writer charm for you as well. And I feel like you are a gifted writer, and it's through the written word that you're able to communicate some very, very powerful messages. So it definitely feels like you may benefit from journaling about your experiences and then reflecting on how your own values and beliefs about self have shifted and changed as you move through this journey. I think that would be a really powerful exercise for you. And what's this little kind of, I guess it's a stopwatch here. The numbers sit at number 7 and number 1. Now, number 1, of course, is about unity. It's also the energy of the magician, which came up reversed here. And number 7 is the number of divinity and divine intervention. So I do feel like this is a message from Spirit reassuring you that those feelings of disempowerment that currently reside in your counterpart's consciousness, will be dissolved and transmuted by the divine. You just have to trust in the divine plan and that everything is moving in accordance with the divine plan and in the right timing. You've also got the mountain range here, and you can see there's a little tent and a little fire there. For me, this is a time of taking time out to really reflect on the challenges ahead. It's interesting that there are 3 mountains here because that is the number of the Empress, you know, the divine feminine energy. So it does feel like you need to take more time for yourself to reflect on the journey ahead and plan a way forward. I'm hearing just time out in general, time alone. You probably don't get a lot of that or as much as you need, or perhaps it's time outdoors alone that you need as well. You're not being honest with yourself. So this came up when, you know, they were saying, how can you love and accept me if you don't love and accept yourself? And it does feel like, as I say, you know, you've got to start practicing what you preach now. You've learned so much about, you know, being more healthy and honest in relationships. You've learned so much about how to transmute and transform any toxic behaviors or tendencies, but you're not really being completely honest about how far you are along that journey, and that doesn't serve you. You know, self-reflection is really important. I feel this is why journaling is going to help you, you know, really reflect on how much progress you've actually made. F you. Now, the numbers on here are 4, 5, 4 and 1. 4 is the number of balance and stability. 5 is the number of change and transformation. Of course, number 1 is the number of unity and self-empowerment. So it does feel like, and again, this has come up near this you are not being honest with yourself, there is this lingering bitterness and resentment between you and your person. And I feel like even though you don't necessarily respond to them in that way, energy doesn't lie. So, you know, when they come rushing back towards you, even though you're quite bitter, quite annoyed with them, you know, what's actually happening is you're rising above that and presenting this energy of unconditional love. But in reality, there's a lot of unresolved anger inside you for this person that you're unwilling to communicate or say. So it feels like Spirit is asking you to be more authentic, and also to recognize that you can communicate your frustrations about this connection in a loving way, and that's what you're being challenged to do at the moment. The universe will continue to show you the same lessons until you learn. And we have the white moth or butterfly here. The butterfly is a symbol of growth and transformation, and white is the color of the crown chakra. And I feel like you need to be aware that it really is a case of evolve or repeat. You will continue to cycle through the same experiences until you learn from, you know, what's being presented. There is a need here as well to recognize that this person also has to go through the lessons at their own pace. Now, the shell, I feel like this is representative of your person's heart space. It's locked up. This person clams up easily. They can open up briefly and momentarily, and you might feel that flow and rush of beautiful energy when they do that, but it's not an energy they feel safe staying in, and so they shut down again. And I feel like, again, Spirit is saying, you know, don't try and prise this person open. You just have to develop some patience and allow them to move through this at their own pace. So it does feel like, you know, this person is very conflicted, very confused, but the separation that you're experiencing at the moment serves you both, and it is their job to trigger you. So it does feel like, you know, things are moving in the right direction, even if they're not necessarily where you would like them to be. So I really hope that was helpful, part 1. I'm going to take this over to the extended reading. As I said, we're going to get some deeper messages from your person and take a deeper look at how you can move forward for the highest good of this connection. So if you would like to tune into the extended, you can find a link for that in the description box below, and also in the comments by the timestamps. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's so lovely to share this with you. Please do hit the like button. It really does help my channel to grow, and I appreciate it so much. And if you'd like to see more content like this, don't forget to tap the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get a notification every time I post. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Titanic Tarot with Amazonite, and we are asking, what does your person want you to know? What are the messages from your person today? Now, this is a new deck, so I'm going to give it a really good shuffle. But just to give you a heads up, I'm going to be launching new classes and webinars this week some tomorrow and more throughout the week. I will announce them first to my website subscriber list and also to my Facebook group. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my website or join my Facebook group, head over there so that you can get notified first. My classes do sell out really quick. So if you've been waiting for that, then make sure you go and subscribe over there. I will announce it, of course, on my YouTube videos and on my YouTube community page, but it will go out to my website subscribers and my Facebook group members first. So if you are interested in learning with me, make sure you sign up to subscribe over there. And don't forget to join me on Instagram. You can find me at Happy Souls 1111. I post mini readings over there. And as well, sorry, just cutting that deck there. Make sure you comment down below to say which pile you've chosen, because these are all timeless readings. So if you make a note of which one you've already watched, you can find your way to a different pile next time and you've got the same question on the tip of your tongue. So this is a really beautiful deck, the Titanic Tarot. It's independently created. I literally received it this morning. It's a really unique deck and I'm excited to use it. So let's do this. What does your person need you to know? What do they want you to know? What can't they say to your face, or because you're out of communication? Let's have a look-see. We have got the Ace of Swords, the Two of Pentacles in reverse, the High Priestess in reverse, the Three of Pentacles, Strength, the Two of Wands, Judgment in reverse, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the Three of Wands in reverse, and the Three of Cups in reverse. We're going to use this Divine Animals Oracle also. Get a couple of these. We've got Chameleon and the Fruit Bat Flying Fox. That came up in the same position for pile 1. And I'm also going to use these cards. These are just blanks that I've written messages on. So messages from your counterpart. I wish I knew how to love you the way that you deserve to be loved. I'm pretty sure that came up in the same position for pile 1 as well. I'm not sure if you want to hear from me or not. I am lost. You really hurt me too with your harsh words. I have big feelings for you, but I'm not sure how you feel about me. Loving you, leaving you behind broke me in ways you would not believe. I never meant to hurt you. I was lost and confused and made bad decisions. Please forgive me. I'm still unlearning toxic behaviours. I'm not good enough for you yet. Right. What does your person want to say? I do feel that this person has made a decision. They understand the truth of what this connection is. And they do choose you. Their heart chooses you. But there's so much emotion surrounding this which they really, really struggle with. They struggle, even though they know the truth, they struggle to accept it, integrate it and take action based upon it. I want to pull a clarifier here. So they know they need to heal. Yeah, there's unresolved karma here though. That's why they can't actually act on it or move forward. There's betrayal karma. There's definitely a third party. You might be the third party, or perhaps someone else is the third party. but this person is in very, very confused energy. I'm hearing as well that you've made it abundantly clear how you want to be loved. And this person really feels a lot of shame, a lot of regret that they've not been able to live up to the expectation. I'm hearing that you do speak different love languages, and so loving you in the way that you want to be loved isn't necessarily in their nature. It's not how they've been taught to love. So they are asking you to be aware of those differences that exist between you. But this person does choose you, and they know you are the person for them. But right now, because of this third party situation, which for sure is karmic, they're not able to take action upon that. And we see this with the Two of Pentacles here in reverse. You know, they're not able to change it. They're not able to come forward and change their circumstances. The Judgment card in reverse shows us that this person is still unawakened also. They need you to understand that they only see part of the picture. They haven't got the full picture or the full perspective yet. Their mind isn't open enough. Their heart isn't open enough for them to truly figure out what's going on here. I do feel like they aren't listening to their own intuition. And with the Wheel of Fortune here as well, you know, this also keeps them stuck. Sorry, I'm just listening to what my guides are saying. So it's like, these are such confusing energies. It's like on the one hand, they believe that you're like an eternal soulmate, that you're destined to be together, that your connection is fated. But they also feel powerless to steer their life in the right direction. And, you know, they're not necessarily listening to what spirit has to share with them. They're not open to spirit in that way. In fact, I feel this person is actually quite terrified of the spiritual nature of this. It weirds them out, and they can't really get their head around it. Some of you may work together, and I'm hearing that can be quite uncomfortable for you also. It feels like this person is going through a relationship breakdown anyway. I don't feel it's over yet, but it's in, you know, the end is in motion. And so there is a need to wait here, but there's also this energy of collaboration. As I said, this can be the card of work colleagues, and there's 2 3s here. We've actually got 3 3s out for you. So, sorry, 4. You've got all the 3s out. So there's definitely a very karmic third party situation that's going on here that may be playing out in your workplace. Now, this person does want to make things up with you, and they do want to talk to you, but they really don't know how. And it does say, I'm not sure if you want to hear from me or not. And, you know, I'm not sure how you feel about me. I feel like there's a lot of water under the bridge with you two. And obviously this is a Titanic Tarot, but you can see that many of the cards are actually based in being underwater. And it does feel like this person, you know, is very confused and still drowning in overwhelm and emotion. They're still not sure how to bring this situation into balance. It feels like there were so many harsh words exchanged that both of you were kind of in a bit of a limbo state with it. So with the 3 of Wands in reverse, they are kind of saying, you know, I do need more time. Even though I've made a decision, you know, I'm still underwater with this. You know, I'm not able to actually resurrect this relationship in the way that I would like to at this time. There are still things that need to be resolved, and for sure there are financial considerations here for this person. So whether they're married, whether they might need to leave a job, or, you know, it's going to impact them financially somehow, and there is a need to wait before this can happen. The Strength card here is really interesting. You know, obviously this is a Titanic Tarot, and what we see is this group of people on a rescue boat, and of course they're moving to calmer waters. This is an image that we normally see on the 6 of Swords, but in the Strength card it's about compassion. It's about real strength, and we can see that this person and a child are really illuminated here. Now this could mean for some of you that this person's really trying to be strong for their children. You know, a lot of the decisions they make are quite selfless. It's not actually about them or about you, but about the people that they care for and are responsible for. So it does feel like this person's trying to be strong for others right now. and that there's a journey they still need to take to really arrive at a place which is going to allow them to transform this connection into what they would like it to be. So it does feel like with the Three of Cups in reverse that they are very much rejecting any social interactions from you at the moment. They've kind of distanced themselves. And it does say here, you know, I'm still unlearning toxic behaviours. I'm not good enough for you yet. So it does feel like this person knows that there's work that each of you needs to do before things can really move ahead. And this person is quite lost right now. And with all of these underwater cards, you know, it does feel like they're finding their way out of that. But that right now there is a lot of confusion and a lot for them to deal with. And they really don't know, you know, if you want to hear from them or not. So it might be worth giving them a sign, you know, some casual kind of interaction to open the lines of communication, or even just saying outright, when you're ready to talk, you know, I'm going to listen with an open heart. But you did hurt each other. You know, they're saying, I never meant to hurt you. I was confused and made all the wrong decisions. Please forgive me. But it does also say that you really hurt me too with your harsh words. So, you know, there's a need here for both of you to be aware of how your communication has impacted the other, and to not cast blame, you know, to recognise that things just got heated, people got upset, and that both of you said things that you didn't mean, and that actually there's a lot of mirroring going on here, because I feel like you're quite hard on this person for the, you know, in terms of their behaviours, but you're not necessarily recognising how your behaviours impact the connection also. And it really did hurt this person to leave you, but they did have other obligations and other responsibilities that had to come into play. With the Chameleon, and we've got another card here for change, I do think this person wants to transform this situation, you know, but right now it feels like they're keeping their distance, and they're asking you to appreciate that that transformation may take time and it needs to happen independent of you. The fruit bat flying fox is about kindness, and this also came out interestingly in the exact same position for part one. And it just feels like this person does continue to surrender to you, and they're asking you to, you know, to allow that to really help you hold your faith, that no matter what happens between you, no matter how much this person struggles with surrendering themselves to this connection fully, they do always come back to you. They do always come back and drink from your cup. That actually makes them feel very selfish. It can be very triggering for them, because your kindness knows no bounds, and it feels like no matter what this person does to disrespect you, to alienate you, to ignore you, you know, to cast you aside when their life takes on you know, a stressful dynamic, you're still always there, open and willing to receive them, and they appreciate that so much. They don't feel that they deserve that. You know, it doesn't, again, I wish I knew how to love you the way you deserve to be loved. They don't have any experience of that kind of unconditional loving. I'm hearing it's something about you that, you know, even when you're angry with them, you're able to be open and yielding to them, you know, and to this connection. It does feel like a very powerfully gracious energy that we have here. Really quite lovely. So let's get some more. In fact, I feel really drawn to get some more of the animal oracle cards. So what else does this person want you to know? The jackal, truth. So again, they know the truth. They know the truth about this connection. The tarantula, you know, they feel very much attached and caught up in this web, just as you do. They can't move away from it either. And the dolphin, you really do bring this person a tremendous amount of happiness. But it does feel like things are being done kind of backwards in reverse, because we've got 44, 43 and 42, and this isn't a new deck. It's been used and shuffled many, many times, so it's really interesting that they've come out in that sequence. And I feel like this person is saying, you know, you don't really know me, and yet it does feel like we have this eternal connection, but it just feels like we've done it all upside down and backwards. It does. It's like it feels like you went deep really quick and then pulled apart, and that now there's a need to kind of slow down and tentatively move in the right direction. But this person for sure feels very happy in your presence. I'm hearing for some of you, we see a pregnant mermaid type creature here, but for some of you there may have been a pregnancy which temporarily brought you a lot of happiness. For some of you that pregnancy wouldn't have reached its full conclusion. Perhaps there was a miscarriage or a decision to terminate, but for sure it feels like for a brief time both of you were able to really embody this energy of joy at the potential of sharing something so special together. But I do feel that that was kind of snatched away from you. And this has created kind of drama and trauma that has really caused both of you a tremendous amount of pain. And again, this is what I mean about moving backwards. It just feels like things happened really quickly with you two and unraveled very quickly. And then you both kind of got caught in the web of this connection without knowing which way to move. But there has been a truth recognition here now. This person is seeing you in a new light and recognizing what this connection means. And we've got the red fox. They are being strategic now about how they approach this. They're trying to transform and create the necessary change in their lives. But again, there is that Three of Wands in reverse, that wait may be quite long. And again, we've got another card for transformation, the sea otter. And, this is a watery transformation, which makes me think, there needs to be a transformation here connected to the feelings surrounding this connection as well. So what else do they want you to know? You've got me wrong. I do care. I just don't know how to show you that. I'm so sorry I betrayed you. How can you forgive me? I'm ready to heal. I can't cope with your codependent behaviours. And why is everything my fault? So, I feel like, again, you and this person speak different love languages and they don't know how to meet your expectations for how love needs to be communicated or expressed. It's just not in their nature to do it in the way that you need to receive it. So there is a need to recognize that your differences and to recognize that you both speak different love languages. This person for sure betrayed you. I feel like they went back to another partner. They may have even been another third party for some of you, because there are so many threes here. It does feel like a really tangled web, but this person is recognizing the need to resolve and heal these wounds. But again, you've been harsh as well. And they do find that there is an imbalance in, the way the blame or responsibility is levied against them. And that you perhaps are not taking responsibility for your part in this. And it does say, you hurt me too. You really hurt me too with your harsh words. So again, this is to do with communication. Now, I can't cope with your codependent behaviours. And I do feel like, when we're in that energy of codependence, it does drive a masculine energy away. It's very, very hard for them. This is something we have to learn to unravel ourselves. Much as you can't teach them the right way to be, they have to heal and figure that out for themselves. You need to be honest with yourself about where you need to heal as well, and where you've put too much pressure on this connection, which would have also contributed to the breakdown of it, or perhaps caused them, to focus their attention elsewhere. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm asking you to be aware that you're each responsible for what happens in that bit in the middle. And, he's saying, why is everything my fault? It's not all my fault. Neither one of us is perfect, and we both contributed to the breakdown of this. And ultimately, I do feel they're the one that made the decision to walk away. It says they're lost, I'm confused, and it does say I'm lost there. They've said that twice. But you need to understand that, what led up to that was a contribution from both of you. So I'm going to get some guidance cards from Spirit before I take this over to the extended reading, where we're going to take a deeper look, get some more messages from this person. I want to understand what their intentions are and what you need to know to really move this connection to the highest good. But see what we've got. You are what you are. You are what you do, not what you say. Focus on inner peace. You are loved and lovable, believe it. Are you willing to accept this person as they are? And we have got slightly bitter, the fortune teller, FU, the iPod, the Filofax clock, and the rose tinted specs. You got to practice what you preach. You are what you do, not what you say. It's really easy to say, oh, I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person, these are my beliefs and these are my values, but you've got to walk the talk. And, you know, Spirit is asking you to be aware how, you know, you may not be as loving or healed as you believe yourself to be, that there is still some bitterness here that seeps out into your communications and interactions with this person, and that can be really destructive. Focus on inner peace and stop with the fortune teller, the paper fortune teller here. You know, you're being asked to stop trying to divine the future and to just accept each day as it comes, and to recognize too that the future is never actually set in stone. You don't really, you know, even with tarot cards, any divination, sometimes there are predestined things for sure that are meant to happen. But there are so many variables because everyone has free will. And the goal of this journey is to surrender to what is rather than trying to predict what's coming. And it feels like they're trying to redirect your focus here to inner peace, you know, to meditation, to connecting with the here and now, to developing a mindful practice. We've got two charms here which also, I think, affirm that bitterness. The FU, and this one says, you're a loser. So, and this is through music. So, you know, again, there is bitterness, there is resentment here. And, you know, this person is saying that you really hurt me with your harsh words, and you need to take responsibility for your own communications. You know, you are what you do, not what you say. And you've got to be able to walk the talk and talk the talk and, you know, live up to what you're suggesting. If you expect them, I think this is where they're saying, you know, why is everything my fault? I think you have quite lofty ideas about the right way to be in a relationship, but you perhaps don't always hold yourself to the same high standards. And this person's recognizing that inequality. And you are loved and lovable. You know, you've got to learn to love yourself. That is what this journey is about. And, you know, you've got to be willing to accept them as they are. And at the moment, I do think they feel very judged by you, very harshly judged. And that, you know, there is this idea that they just can't live up to these ideals and expectations that you have. There's a real need to take off the rose-tinted spectacles and to see life and relationships as they really are, which is sometimes challenging, and that no one's perfect, no matter how hard we try to be. You know, we hurt people, we say the wrong thing, we make mistakes, we make the wrong decisions. There's a need to be more humble and to demonstrate humility in this connection, and just to trust in the timing of this. The numbers that are highlighted here between this paper part is 12 and 4. Now, number 12 reduces to 3, which is Empress energy, and number 4 is the energy of the masculine, the Emperor, balance and stability. This is where the work is happening now. You know, I do feel like this is a key time, and that gap between you is closing. So not to lose faith and to just continue and, you know, and just continue healing. Find your inner peace. So I really hope that was helpful for you, part 2. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you would like to watch the extended reading, you can find a link to that in the description box below and in the messages, in the comments by the timestamps. So hopefully I'll see you over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do tap the like button if you enjoyed this video. It really helps my channel to grow. And don't forget to subscribe. That means you'll get an update every time I post. See you next time. Bye. Hello, Path 3. Welcome to your reading. We are asking today, what is your person wanting to say? This might be because they can't say it to your face. Perhaps you're not in communication. Either way, we want to get some insight into how they're feeling and thinking and what they need you to know about this connection. So, whilst I'm shuffling, just to let you know, I will be launching new classes and webinars in the next few days. If you would like to get a heads up before anyone else, then please do subscribe to my website or my Facebook group, where I will announce the classes before I announce them on YouTube. They do sell out pretty quick, and I have got some new classes that I haven't done before, which I'm very, very excited about. So if you would like to learn with me, head over to the website or my Facebook group and become a member there so that you can be one of the first to know. And then I will announce it shortly later on my YouTube community page. So you have chosen the Vagabond Wild Tarot with Appetite. Be sure to make a note in the comments of which pile you've chosen, because all of my readings are timeless. You might find your way back to this video at a later date when another pile may be relevant to you. And don't forget to join me on Instagram. You can find me there at happysouls1111. Okay, let's do this. What does your person want you to know, pile 3? What are the messages from your person? And we're appealing to their higher self to come forward. Oh, these are big energies. I really felt that hit me like a ton of bricks when I said I'm appealing to their higher self. It was like, woo, I'm here. Okay, right. Give them one more riffle shuffle. Let's do this. We've got the 8 of Cups, the High Priestess, the Magician, the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, sorry, the King of Pentacles in reverse, the King of Wands in reverse, the 4 of Swords, the 8 of Swords in reverse, and the 3 of Wands in reverse. I'm also going to be using the Divine Animal Oracle. And we have got cat. We have got the seahorse. So that's intuition and loyalty. Sorry, equality. I'm also using these cards. These are just blanks that I've written messages on myself. As you can see, I add to them every day. It's quite a considerable pile now. And if you would like to create some of these for yourself, you can buy these blanks really cheaply on Amazon. And you don't need to be a skilled reader to use these. They can be really, really helpful. And you can copy the messages I've got, or look at other oracle decks for inspiration. I think it's a really cost-effective way of bringing forward messages from your person. You can write anything you want on them. You can really personalize this journey for yourself. Okay. My heart says yes, but my head says no. You push me away too when I don't give in to your demands. This is not unconditional love. You talk about self-love, but you get upset. When I need space to love me. No matter how hard I try, it's never enough for you. I have so much to say, but when the chance arises, I'm lost for words. Your heart matches my heart, but I don't know how to be in my heart. I have unhealthy habits and addictions, and I'm not ready to face them. I want to get it right this time, but I'm scared I will mess up again. These are really intense energies. I've got goosebumps all over me right now. This person feels you at a spiritual level very, very strongly. I do feel like you two are very, very much in tune with one another. I'm just going to shift the camera down so you can see all these better. There we go. Perfect. 444. As I looked at the time there on the camera. So those are the numbers, angel numbers of balance, harmony and stability. But yeah, I feel so very strongly that there is a powerful astral and telepathic communication between you two. This person feels you close to them a lot of the time, as you obviously do them. I'm hearing that you do communicate astrally and telepathically, and this really strengthens and reinforces your connection. And indeed, we've got 2 cards here that suggest that. So I feel like all the piles today have been for couples in separation, and I do feel like one of you or both of you has walked away. But this 8 of Cups, your person is just reminding you that this is a temporary reprieve, that they've walked away to resolve issues within themselves, you know, to resolve their emotional self. And I feel like both of you needed to turn your backs on one another so that you could approach your healing from a deeper perspective. This person's very triggered by the spiritual truth of this connection. They're both enamored and excited by that, but very, very triggered because it makes them feel somewhat out of control. This person, I feel, has been a commitment phobe most of their life, and they're asking you to understand how difficult it is and has been for them to really consider a long-term commitment. They've been burned very badly in the past, and they've also not grown up in a family where loving, healthy, supportive relationships were demonstrated. This is clarified by the King of Pentacles in reverse. So, you know, this person was very much afraid of commitment. And I feel like your connection reached a point where, excuse me one moment, because one of my kids is banging something. It's really distracting me. Would you please stop banging? Right, just be a bit more quiet. Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I believe that your connection reached a point where it was a real kind of, you know, do or die moment. It was either jump right in and commit, or take some time. And as I said, I feel like one or both of you, it does feel like it was a mutual decision, that it wasn't working, that you couldn't find a middle ground or meet one another's needs. Now, I say this because this person's saying, you push me away too when I don't give in to your demands, and this is not unconditional love. And they're asking you here to recognize the difference between healthy boundaries and expectations and barriers to love. And it feels like you may at times have been very, very insecure as a result of your own experiences in love. And it does say here, you talk about self-love, but you get upset when I need the space to love me. I'm hearing in particular this was about phone calls and text messages. You know, if this person didn't necessarily immediately message you back or didn't return your calls in what you deemed was an appropriate or reasonable time frame, you could become very upset and triggered. And so they're really asking you that, you know, you need to become aware of how your own insecurities are impacting this connection, because this person for sure, you know, it feels like no matter how hard they've tried, it was just never enough for you. And so, you know, they started to think that they weren't able to give you what you wanted long term, because, you know, you were consistently communicating that they did not understand your needs and expectations. And so they're asking you to just be aware of how some of your needs and expectations weren't always healthy. They weren't always coming from a healthy, balanced place. But there is so much harmony in this connection. I do feel like when the two of you are actually together and those insecurities are set aside, that there is such a beautiful harmony and kind of simpatico between you. And again, this very powerful, intuitive connection. Now, I do feel this person has the capacity to philosophize and get into their emotional self more than others, but that's a kind of fleeting energy for them to be in. It's like they open up and then they shut down again very quickly when it all gets very powerful and intense. And they're asking you not to take that personally. They're explaining that, you know, in previous relationships, them being open has made them vulnerable to being hurt and to being betrayed, and that sometimes that openness has been used against them. And so when you get to this level in your connection, when they begin to open up, all of those fear triggers come into play and they shut down again. So it's not a personal thing, and they just need you to know that they actually love those conversations with you. You know, they find it incredibly cathartic to open up that way, because it's not something they feel comfortable doing with many people, but that their own insecurities and fears get the better of them when that happens. And so, you know, it does feel like both of you have come to this connection from previous very dysfunctional, very toxic connections, relationships. You've both been very, very hurt. And so you both have these intense fear triggers, intense insecurity triggers. And I do feel that you've both been fairly impatient with one another in terms of trying to resolve them. So there really is a need here for both of you to learn to communicate without blame. You know, rather than saying, you don't do this for me, you really upset me when you did that. You know, I wish you could see how much you're hurting me when you don't do blah, blah, blah. You know, instead, it's about explaining how you feel without blame, you know, without accusing, without attacking. Because when you're presenting things with blame, the other person is going to be triggered to be defensive. And it does feel like you both come at these kind of conversations from that perspective, that you're still learning how to navigate conflict with one another without blame, without accusing one another. It's about rising above, you know, your own fears and recognizing that you're just both damaged, and that, you know, together by expressing, you know, it's so much easier to say, when you don't call me back within a reasonable time frame, I find that really hard and it really hurts me. I want you to be able to have the space you need to love yourself. How can we, you know, find a way to respect one another's needs whilst also, you know, reassuring one another? Realistically, you're both responsible for your own feelings. And I do feel like, as I said, both of you have deep insecurities that are interfering with this connection and making it feel quite impossible. And that's essentially what's driven you apart. And this person, you know, I feel like when they're on their own and they feel really empowered to discuss all this stuff with you, and they find it really easy to pull the right kind of energy and words together. But once they get in front of you, it's like all of that just kind of melts away and they're left with this confusion again. And again, the way that you're reacting and responding to another is very triggering. So it does feel like both of you really need to do some healing, and recognize how those deeper wounds are affecting how both of you communicates in a loving relationship, because you're both coming at this from a place of mistrust, and I feel that you're both being triggered by that lack of trust because you've both been hurt. So the attitude is kind of like, you know, I'm not someone that hurts people, and then your attitude is, I'm not someone that hurts people, how dare you suggest that about me? And it's because of the way it's communicated. You know, you want to trust each other and you hold each other in such high esteem, but it just feels like there's a breakdown in communication, and this is just to do with, you know, your previous experiences and also how you've previously been taught to communicate. But this person, you know, is feeling empowered to create change. They want you to know that they do think about you all the time. They think about nothing else but this, and they're looking at how this connection kind of really helps them make sense of everything. I'm hearing it helps them make sense of all of their life experiences. It's almost like they can see that everything they've been through has led up to this moment, and they really, really, you know, with this Four of Swords, which is that thinking card, they really spend a lot of time digesting that truth and looking at it from a variety of different perspectives. But it also triggers a lot of fear, pain and grief for them. And even though there's an awareness that that's triggering pain of the past, it still brings those uncomfortable feelings to the surface and forces them to confront them in their present. And that can be really uncomfortable, which is, you know, why it says your heart matches my heart, but I don't really know how to be in my heart. And I feel that this is what they struggle with. They struggle to maintain this kind of open, loving and expressive energy with you. Bit of my nail polish just fell off there. Because you just keep triggering each other so hard. And they're reminding you that that's what you're meant to do. You guys just need to find a way to communicate about that. They are very hopeful. You know, I do feel like both of you really, really want this to work, and that when things are good between you, they're really good. For sure, it feels like your person's starting to really reflect on their own spiritual nature, their own spiritual power and strength. They're absolutely fascinated, I feel, by the kind of idea of a soulful connection and, this kind of astral communication. They're releasing a lot of the doubt that they've previously felt about that. I do feel like it's taken this person a really long time to come around to this idea. And that now they've released that, they're actually finding that part of the connection very comforting and very reassuring. And it does kind of help them to feel more comfortable with you. But it does say here as well that they have these unhealthy habits and addictions and they're not really ready to face them. Now, I'm going to pull another card for that. What are these unhealthy habits and addictions that they're not ready to face? What do they pertain to? So we've got release, moderation, the Watcher, and fierceness. Wow. So I do think both of you are actually fiercely codependent. You really struggle to give one another freedom. The Watcher, it just feels like, you need and want to know everything about one another. You're constantly watching each other on social media and being triggered by what you've seen. But their unhealthy habits and addictions of codependence, I feel are connected to kind of anger. They have unhealthy coping mechanisms and distracting behaviours, and neither one of you has learned to love in moderation, which I feel is why the intensity in this connection sometimes overwhelms you both. You don't know how to give one another space. So, even though it says you push me away too, and you talk about self-love and you don't give me space, I really feel like this is an energy that actually goes both ways, that you really mirror each other in that respect. You're both so afraid of losing each other that you cling to each other too tightly. And despite both feeling the same way and holding these unhealthy habits, it feels like neither one of you is able to recognize or accept that you're both coming from the same place with that, I do feel this has caused a lot of dysfunction and a lot of heartache for both of you, this clinging on too tightly, and not being able to kind of love in a more balanced or moderate way. They're letting you know that now isn't the time for them to come forward, that there does need to be another way, because both of you do have this important healing work to do. And I don't feel like it's just them. I feel like they're aware that both of you need to do that. And I do feel like you have talked about what this connection really means to you both and what's required of each of you as individuals. And they really want to honour that. They really want to make space for that. And it does say, I want to get it right this time, but I'm scared I'll mess up again. And we've also got Seahorse, this card of equality. So for me, this is about both of you taking responsibility. And it does feel like you really beat each other up and hold the other accountable for a lot of the problems without being able to meet in the middle and really see how you're actually both coming to the table with the same kind of unhealthy habits, dysfunction and expectations. But again, there is such a powerful astral connection here. And that's where you both feel really safe. That's where you both feel really secure. And that's where a lot of growth is actually happening in this connection. And this person's reminding you that you're never really apart because of that. That you're never really separated, and they find a lot of respite and solace in that astral connection. And, they do want to honour that and to invest in that. And they're highlighting how that is a powerful tool for both of your healing and growth. So let's get some more cards out here. What else do they need you to know? Because there's so much mirroring here. There really is a lot of mirroring. What else do they need you to know about, what each of you can do to support the other in this? We've got the Eight of Wands, the Six of Wands in reverse, the Three of Swords, and the Three of Pentacles. So this is really lovely. This person would like to move. They'd like to move forward. They want to get this resolved as quickly as you do, but they're also saying, you know, that you both have this fear of failure, and it's not just a fear of failure, it's a fear that this relationship isn't going to work, that you know, that both of you are loving for the wrong reasons, that you're attaching for the wrong reasons, and also because you both have a history of kind of broken, dysfunctional relationships. It just feels inevitable to each of you that this is going to go that same route, because that's what happens to you. You know, it's almost like neither one of you can really believe in the purity and the good and the depth of connection that is actually within each of you and here between you. Your limiting beliefs about relationships, about love, really get in the way. You know, they're saying that you're both healing from betrayal trauma. There is so much grief in both of you, but with this Three of Pentacles here, they do really want you to collaborate and work through this together. And this person's saying, you know, we have so much to learn together because we've actually had similar life experiences. And if only we could kind of sit down and talk without blame, you know, and try and rise above those triggers and to flow with them and to recognize what they're trying to teach to us, to communicate from a place of equality, we could work together to really start, you know, healing this. But in order to get to that place, there is this need to be alone for a period of time. I feel like both of you recognize the need to learn to be more independent, to learn to be more self-sufficient when it comes to your emotions. And that's what's kind of frustrating about this connection, because I feel like even though both of you have these kind of bad habits that keep interfering with the flow of energy in this connection, neither one of you is actually seeing how your own individual habits are having an impact. You're too much focused on what the other person is doing and not being as honest with yourselves as you could be about what needs to happen to move this forward. So I'm going to get some guidance for you before I take this over to the extended. What's the guidance from Spirit? In the extended, we're going to take a deeper look at their intentions, you know, get more messages from them about how you can move this forward. But let's just get some guidance from Spirit. We've got, this is not a normal relationship and you cannot make it so. Trust and surrender to the path. You are confused about what unconditional love means. You are loved and lovable. Believe it. Every experience you have ever had has led up to this moment. Release regret. And this is going to be a seismic, there is going to be a seismic shift for you soon. Are you ready? Let's get some palms as well. Okay, so we have got the Losers Club. This is a positive sign. Wizard in training. Hello, I'm yours. The Bullshit Remover and the Ammonite. This isn't a normal relationship and you cannot make it so. Trust and surrender to your path. So I feel like both of you are at a stage in your journey where you really need to acknowledge this. And I say both of you. I do feel like your person has an awareness of the spiritual nature of this connection. And together you both need to discuss this and really integrate what this means. Because what it actually means is it's not really about each other. It's about how you feel inside and about coming into union with yourself. And when each of you masters that, you're going to have a really happy, harmonious relationship together. You know, you both feel like losers in life. You've been hurt, you've been trampled on, you've been betrayed, you've been disregarded and, you know, left behind. And you're both coming at this connection from that energy. You don't believe that you're loving and lovable. You know, it really feels like something this great couldn't happen and to you, and you're both coming at this from that really negative belief that you just can't release, you know, and you are confused about what unconditional love means. Unconditional love means to give without expectation of getting something in return. It means to love without condition. I.e., you know, when you're making all of these demands, I can't be with you unless you do this, and you know, you're really beating each other up for not giving in ways which you both feel are appropriate and which you deserve, you're actually missing the point of this journey. So there really is a need to study what this journey means, and I would recommend that you both read the article on my website called Return to One, which kind of explains really what it's about. And we've got this Wizard in training one. You know, both of you are clearly very psychic. I feel like your person is able to acknowledge that about themselves. And that by developing your intuitive senses and really connecting with the truth of who you are, you're going to be able to tap into that high guidance and also learn to self-soothe by feeling the truth of a situation rather than letting your fears and insecurities run away with you and making, negative assumptions about one another's behaviours. It will allow you to discern what's real and what's wrong. You're both used to being lied to, and so it's very hard to trust one another. And I feel like by connecting to your own truth and intuition, that's really going to help you. And, this is a really positive sign. You may not see it as such, but the fact that you're both able to kind of talk about this and to reflect on this and to come at this from the same angles, even though you're not seeing it as such, is really quite beautiful. And you just need to trust. And, your person's saying as well, I'm yours. I know you don't believe me. I know you think I'm going to run and hurt you like everyone else has, but I am yours and I want this to work. We just need to stop focusing on all the BS. This is the bullshit remover charm. And, it's really about total transparency and authenticity and being honest with yourselves, getting over your own BS and trusting that all of that pain that you've been through was never in vain. It's allowed you both to come at this from a perspective of truly understanding the other. If only you could actually get into the energy and release your own fears to see into the heart of the other. Things are changing for you guys really soon. This is an indication that you need to get ready for that, because I do see you coming back together. And with this Ammonite coming up over the Three of Pentacles, I really feel that you're going to do a lot of your healing together. It's often suggested that these soul connections only come into union when both parties are healed and ready, but that's not always the case. And I feel like you two are actually going to start working through it together. And don't get me wrong, that's not going to be easy. As you've seen, it's not an easy connection, but I do feel like there is a deep and meaningful love here. This person knows they're yours. They want to be yours. They want you to trust they're yours, but each of you has to believe that you are lovable. You have to get over your own insecurities and recognize it's not the other person's job to do that for you. You've got to learn to rise above your own fears and insecurities and to transmute them and work through them and to see those triggers as a gift to aid you in your personal healing. So I'm going to take this over to the extended. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to join me over the extended reading, you can find a link to that in the description box below and also by the timestamps in the comments section. So hopefully I'll see you there. If you enjoyed the reading, please do hit the like button. It really helps my channel to grow and it just takes you a second. I really appreciate it so much. And thank you to those of you that take the time to watch an advert. It's such a sweet treat for me because I get a small amount of revenue every time you do that. And it's just a really nice energy exchange. 1 minute of your time in return for the free content I provide. And it really helps to keep my channel going. So thank you so much. And hopefully you will subscribe so that we can get together again and you can be updated every time I release a new video. So I'll see you next time. Lots of love, Path 3. Bye.